Welcome to the Generation Podcast, an audio resource dedicated to a generation of young people who are committed to total surrender to God and total dependence on His power to reach the world with the gospel of Christ. This podcast is designed to strengthen and encourage through a series of Bible-based practical talks.
Welcome to the Generation Podcast. This is Jim Van Gelderen, and I am podcasting from Malvern, Arkansas. I have enjoyed being here at Malvern in the past. I think it was in 22 and then 24 and now 26. And I appreciate so much Pastor John Horton and the folks here at Gospel Light Baptist Church. Looking forward to a good week of revival meetings. And if you're at all close, we'd certainly love to see you here in one of the evenings this week through Wednesday. Last week, I was in Houston, Texas, with a wonderful meeting at the Christ Church Baptist Fellowship in Houston with Pastor Johnny Pope, and I was certainly encouraged with the good people there. Had something happen last week that has never happened in my entire ministry. They had a men's prayer meeting at 5 in the morning to 6 o'clock, and I think a low day would have been 20 men, and a high day would have probably been near 30. And I was encouraged with men who would get up early and come to pray. And there were some wonderful moments in those prayer meetings, and I thoroughly enjoyed praying with the good people there at Christ Church Baptist Fellowship. Appreciate the leadership of their pastor in having a vision for that kind of prayer. And certainly prayer is one of the great burdens of the moment, burden of my heart. I know I need to grow in that, and God's people need to grow into it. It's a great need in our day. We have so many things that we know God will do if we'll just get serious about trusting Him. And really, trust is what I might even call silent prayer. Somebody said prayer is the breath of dependence, and there's no doubt about it. When you pray, sincerely pray, it is because we need God, and we're depending on Him to meet a need we can't meet. And no doubt about that, but I sometimes wonder if dependence is not wordless prayer, that when we have a heart to depend upon God, we are, in many senses, praying, because that's what dependence is. It's a heart cry to God. Brings us to the topic at hand, reading, of course, through the Psalms. Try to do that at least once a year. And right now, a couple days ago, I was in Psalm 71. And it starts with, "In Thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion." I found in my own life, a lot of times, life throws you all kinds of curveballs, and there are going to be times that there are going to be distractions spiritually. Confusion is one of them. When you're confused, wondering, what's going on? I thought God was going to do this. Now this seems to be the opposite happening. Or maybe we get hit from a curveball from things we weren't anticipating. Perhaps somebody turns on us or gets frustrated with us, and we were not anticipating that kind of opposition. A lot of times I found it's easy to be confused, but when you focus on the confusion, you're in trouble. It's like this. You focus on hurt, you'll be hurt. You focus on frustrating circumstances, you'll be frustrated. You focus on confusion, you'll be confused. And in the difficulties of life, whatever they might be, if there is, you just focus on a disappointing situation, you're going to be disappointed. And those circumstances always seem to confuse us. And God says, here's the answer. "In Thee, O Lord, do I put my trust." In other words, God, even though I can't figure out why it happened or what's happening or what purpose you have in all of these circumstances, I am trusting you. That's the key I find to the Christian life. Not that I live it well, but I know it is. God is always working no matter who wrongs us, no matter what happens, no matter even if the devil attacks. I think of Job. Satan had to get permission, but he attacked Job. And God had a purpose in it all. We don't understand it all, but it deepened Job. And we see, of course, the book of Job was help us to understand. Sometimes we call those secondary influences that God allows into our life. And Job even, we know that Satan used weather to attack Job and his family. And God allowed him to do that. God has ultimate control over the weather, but evidently Satan can use it. He's the prince of the power of the air. And when those things happen, I know sometimes, doing a ministry program where you have an outside part of the event that's critical and bad weather comes in, sometimes in my early years I get frustrated. God, why? Why did you allow this? Well, he may not have been the first cause. Maybe Satan was using the weather to try to hinder what God wanted to do, and God was looking to us to pray and depend on him to overcome. And I have certainly seen God overcome many weather situations, work them together for good. And it encouraged my faith early on in life. But if you look at the circumstances and you look at something that seems confusing or seems hurtful, you're going to be confused. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be disappointed if it's some situation like that. The point is not to focus on the confusion, the disappointment, the hurt, the frustration, but to trust God no matter what happens, no matter where it comes from, whether the ill will of a human being, which perhaps comes because Satan is yanking their chain, that no matter where it comes from, God's got it. He's got the full perspective. He's working it together for good. That's why I believe the psalmist says, "In thee, O Lord, will I trust. Let me never be put to confusion." And if we truly are trusting God, we can't be confused, because even though we can't figure it out, we know God's got it. And I'm not trying to be irreverent. He's got it in his hand. He knows what's happening and where he's going with it. And he's waiting for us to trust him, because our unbelief, as Psalm 78 so clearly tells us, limits all that God wants to do. And we don't want to limit it because of the hardness of our heart, the great miracle working hand of God. Now, one other thought here, because confusion and disappointment and hurt and frustration and all of these human experiences are very real. And sometimes we do feel like we need to be delivered. And that's why I love the next verse. Really, got a lot of favorite verses in the Bible, but this has to be on that list. "Deliver me in thy righteousness, and cause me to escape. Incline thine ear unto me, and save me." A couple things I see here. Notice the deliverance was in thy righteousness. You know, our righteousness in the sight of God, our self-dependent, flesh-dependent righteousness is as filthy rags, even as a believer, because Isaiah was clearly a believer, and he said all of our righteousnesses are as filthy rags. My self-dependent righteousness does not impress God, and I can't deliver myself with my own human self-dependent righteousness. But notice what it says, "Deliver me in thy righteousness." You know, when you got saved, you were justified, which means you have positional righteousness or forensic or judicial righteousness, which simply means when God looks at you, he doesn't see your sin, he sees the righteousness of Jesus Christ. And at Judgment Day, that'll be a wonderful thing. But it's more than that. It's real righteousness. And in other words, "But of him are ye in Christ Jesus, who of God is made unto us wisdom and righteousness and sanctification and redemption, that according as it is written, he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord." That's 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 30. Hey, it's his righteousness which is fleshed out during my God-dependent obedience. When you and I look to Jesus and we say, "God, I need deliverance," but it's not in my human righteousness, it's in your righteousness, which comes out, friends, when we depend on Jesus and then obey. Trust and obey. There's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. And when you trust God in those moments of confusion, hurt, disappointment, whatever, and then obey, depending on him for his supernatural enablement, it is Christ's righteousness that's being fleshed out through your dependent obedience. And as the verse says there, "He that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord." I mean, it is, where does the glory go? Well, the glory goes to God. Why? Because Jesus enabled me. It's his righteousness. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Some of you that have read 0-100 know that truth. But I'm trying to apply it now in the moment of confusion, the moment of attack, the moment of discouragement, the moment of disappointment. Those moments of life, it's easy to focus on the circumstances, just as Peter did. When the wind and waves began to surge, he took his eyes off Jesus and he began to sink. And he needed a divine deliverance, which he got because he turned to the Lord and said, "Lord, save me." And that's what the rest of the verse says, "Incline thine ear unto me and save me." Yeah, Jesus will divinely deliver when we look to him to deliver us. And this sometimes is found in verses all throughout the Bible that are what we call passive in voice. I think of that verse there in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31, "Let all bitterness," the list goes on, "be put away from you." And that be put away from you is passive in voice, which simply means allow God to put away the bitterness and the anger and the wrath and the clamor. Allow God to do it. Trust him for deliverance. And deliverance is the same word as saved, for him to deliver you. This, of course, we're talking about is Christian life deliverance from sin's power, from temptation, from frustration, from unbelief, from bitterness. We need divine deliverance. And so, gang, I'm sure someone listening to this is kind of having a hard time, confused about their Christian life, surrender to the Lord, and everything seems to go in haywire, or maybe some family problems, and your heart for God seems to be incongruous with the circumstances you're going through. God is telling us here that trust God. You don't have to be put to confusion. Just trust Him and really look to Him to deliver in His righteousness, supernatural deliverance through His enablement, His righteousness, and look to Him to deliver. Incline thine ear unto me, O Lord, and save me. You're saying, Lord, I am looking to you to deliver because I can't deliver myself. And I'm just trusting you to do it. I'm expecting you to do it. That's what a life of faith is. It doesn't mean it's all easy going. It just means in the wind and waves of life, we keep our eyes on the Lord. And if we do look away, we do what Peter did. Lord, save me. We look back to Jesus and look to Him for that divine intervention. That's really what the Christian life is. It's a series of divine intervention, because that's what I need. I tell you sometimes, I don't need Jesus every hour. Nothing against the songwriter who wrote that. I like the one moment by moment. I'm kept in His love. Moment by moment of life from above. I need Jesus every moment of every day. I need divine intervention. So be encouraged with that, gang, and cry out with the psalmist. Thee, O Lord, do I trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Deliver me in thy righteousness. And He will. And may the Lord bless you with that kind of dependent life, of course, which is also surrendered life. So again, you know the Generation motto. It's total surrender to the will of God, total dependence on His grace to live it.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Generation Podcast. If this challenge stirred your heart, then you might want to join us this coming October for our annual The Generation Youth Summit. You can compete in exciting 4-way competitions and hear how your life can turn the world upside down. For more information, please visit thegeneration.org/summit. That's THEEgeneration.org/summit.